Sun Tzu's Art of War. It's probably one of the most famous books on strategy ever. But here's the thing. It's not really about ancient battlefields. At least, not for us. It's actually an incredible guide for avoiding that feeling of burnout we all get in our crazy modern lives. So, let's get into it. So let me ask you something. Have you ever, finally achieved a huge goal or won some big argument or just finished a really tough project, and instead of feeling amazing, you just feel completely wiped out? Yeah, it's such a common feeling, right? Especially with this hustle culture telling us that we just have to grind harder and harder. But what if all that effort? What if it's actually a trap? Well, way back, over 2,000 years ago, Sun Tzu had this pretty radical idea. He said that the best kind of win, the highest form of excellence, is breaking your opponent's resistance without ever having to fight. Think about that. It's a victory that saves your energy, protects your resources, and maybe most importantly, keeps your relationships intact. So what is this trap that we keep falling into? Well, Sun Tzu has a name for it: the siege mentality. It's our default setting for dealing with problems, whether it's at work or at home. We just throw brute force at it. We lay siege to our goals. And man, is that an expensive way to live. Sun Tzu gives this really powerful image for it. He talks about a general who just can't control his frustration, and he launches his soldiers at the city walls like swarming ants. It's just total chaos, pure emotion, no strategy. And he warns that, a third of the men will die, and the city still won't be captured. That right there, that's burnout in a nutshell. It's what happens when we react with irritation instead of acting with a clear head. And here's the key takeaway. We always have a choice. On one hand, you've got the costly siege. That's the path of just grinding it out, burning through all your resources, damaging relationships, and just creating more resistance. On the other hand, you have the highest win. This is all about smart preparation. It saves your resources, it actually builds understanding, and it just dissolves resistance. It's the path of elegant efficiency. Okay, so if laying siege to everything is the problem, what's the answer? Well, Sun Tzu calls it attacking by stratagem. It's a total mindset shift. Instead of going after the person or just the surface-level symptom, you go deeper. You analyze and you dismantle the plan behind the problem. And he lays out this brilliant hierarchy of strategy. Okay, so at the very bottom, the worst thing you can do is attack their cities. That's the siege we've been talking about. A step up from that is to attack their army. A little better, but still costly. Even better, attack their alliances, disrupt their support network. But the absolute highest level, the mark of a true master, you attack the strategy itself. You dismantle their plan before it even has a chance to get started. That's how you win. You win in your mind, on paper, before you've spent even an ounce of energy on the battlefield. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually use this stuff? Well, Sun Tzu's wisdom gives us 4 really practical levers we can pull in our daily lives to get to that highest win. Okay, the first lever, and honestly the most important one, is clarity. It all comes from that famous idea from Sun Tzu: know yourself and know your enemy. Before you walk into any situation, a meeting, a tough talk, a new project, real preparation means you've done your homework. You know your own strengths, your own weaknesses. And this is the crucial part: you've really thought about what the other person needs and what their interests are. That clarity, that's your first and biggest advantage. The second lever is options. Think about it. When you feel like there's only one path, one way to solve a problem, you're basically setting yourself up for a siege. You're trapped. It becomes this win-lose battle. But if you take the time beforehand to brainstorm multiple solutions, suddenly you have flexibility, you have control. You can pivot, find some creative middle ground that works for everyone. This is exactly how you avoid getting backed into a corner where it feels like fighting is the only option. Number 3 is timing. Sun Tzu said a master strategist knows when to move and when to stay still. It reminds me of the philosopher Seneca, who said the best cure for anger is just to wait. And that's so true, isn't it? When you feel that flash of frustration, that urge to attack like those swarming ants, the most powerful thing you can do is often nothing at all. Just pause. Let the emotions settle. Patience isn't weakness. It's a serious form of power. And our fourth and final lever is tone. Yeah, how you say something is a strategic tool. The Book of Proverbs nailed this. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. It's so simple. A harsh tone just immediately creates resistance. It puts people on the defensive. But a calm, deliberate, respectful tone, it can completely de-escalate a situation and turn someone who feels like an opponent into a partner in solving the problem. So let's take these 4 levers: clarity, options, timing, and tone, and see how they actually work. We're going to look at 3 super common situations and see the difference between the costly siege and the strategic win. Okay, first up, a project negotiation at work. The siege approach? You walk in, slam your fist on the table with your one demand, and you're ready for a fight. It's you versus them. But the strategic way? You've already won before the meeting even starts. You used clarity to figure out what the other team actually cares about, you've come up with a few different options, and you use your tone to frame it like, hey, we're on the same team here, let's solve this problem together. The outcome is not just a better solution, but a way better working relationship. How about in our personal relationships? We've all been there. The siege is when you're just trying to win the argument. You're interrupting, emotions are running high, it's all about being right. The strategic win, though, is about protecting the relationship itself. You use timing, you wait until you've both cooled off, you use clarity to actually listen and understand what they need, not just what they're saying, and you use a soft tone to work it out together. It's not about winning, it's about understanding. This same logic applies to our own internal battles, like trying to build a new habit. The siege approach is pure willpower, just trying to force yourself to do it, and then feeling awful when you fail. It's exhausting. But the strategic approach is about winning in your own mind first. You get clarity on what triggers your bad habits. You create options by changing your environment to make the good choice the easy choice. And use a kind internal tone with yourself, treating a setback as just information, not a total failure. So, how do you start using this right away? I've got a super simple tool for you that can help you take that first step away from the siege. It's called the highest win checklist. And here's what you do. Before you hit send on that spicy email, or before you walk into that tense meeting, just stop, pause for a second, and ask yourself these 3 things. What's the real problem we're trying to solve here? What do I really need? And what might they need? And finally, how can we solve this without a big fight? Just doing that, it completely shifts you out of reactive mode and into strategic mode. It's your first move toward winning before the battle even starts. Okay, let's wrap this up. So, what's the big idea we should walk away with from all this ancient wisdom? It's this: the best victory isn't the loud one. It's not about a big, dramatic showdown. The highest win is often silent. It's invisible. It's the argument you never had because you took the time to understand where they were coming from. It's the project that just sailed through smoothly because you saw the problems coming a mile away. Real strength is quiet. It's proactive. It's intelligent. The best victory is the quiet one. So, I'll leave you with a question. Think about your week ahead. What's one battle coming up for you? Maybe a tough conversation, a project you're dreading. What's one battle you could win this week by not fighting it at all? How can you use clarity, options, timing, and tone to get what you need without the fight? Now, in our next episode, we're going to dig into Sun Tzu's ideas about energy and momentum and how to use them like a force of nature. The full Art of War playlist is on our channel, so be sure to check that out. I'll see you there.